At the young age, I had the opportunity to altar serve and be very involved in my parish, and that really did spark an interest for the priesthood. And so you have that like internal fire, like wow, like that priesthood is beautiful, and I want that. And so you pursue that. And you're like, oh, this is great, and the more you pray, this is fantastic. But then you grow up and you're like, it's not really that cool. It's like you grow up, you start doing sports. You're like, dang, like I was in high school, I won my conference, and girls are talking to you, like this is it, man. Like this is awesome. Like I'm a cool kid. Everyone comes like, oh my goodness, Christopher, like how are you? Like this, like talk to me. Like all this attention. You see, these monetary things which are awesome. These fast cars, beautiful houses. Like who doesn't want that? That's great. And so you have this internal like tugging of your heart, like follow me, be my priest. But then you have this like external like, look at this. I can go out every night. I can hang out. Or, you turn 21, you're going out to the bars, and it's a lot of fun out there, hanging out with the boys, playing Fortnite every night. It's a great time. And so you have all these things. But for me, it was like I always had this little call, this little tugging at the heart, like, hey, Christopher, come follow me. And it's like, okay, Lord, I want to, but like, I don't want to give up these other things I have. And, so I go to college, I graduate college, I start graduate school, and everything's going, it's fantastic for me. And it's kind of the story of my life. Everything goes really well. The Lord's blessed me with a lot of things, and I'm enjoying them. And then the closer I get to everything I set out to do, it's like, why are you still tugging at me, Lord? Can you just give me a break or give me some room? And you push God away. It's like, okay, I understand you want this, God, but I want a beautiful wife. I want 10 kids. I want the whole nine. And God's like, Christopher, like, you want me and I want you. And so you finally, okay, it's like a bright light. You're like, I gotta look at it. And you start looking at it and you start really praying about it. And then like everything starts coming together, and it's like, all right, God, you gave me the opportunity to have this, beautiful life, a wife, a house, 10 kids, but you're calling me to a different relationship with you. And so I'm going to give that back to you, and I'm going to discern the priesthood. And so that's what it really has been for me. Everything works out great, but there's just a deeper call. I'm a first pre-theologian. There's a lot more focus on my discernment versus if I was a fourth-year theologian. Discernment is not as much a priority as formation is. Formation's both, like, they're both equal. You need them both. Like, you don't just, this is not like a job. You don't just go, or like, college, just go there, you study, you graduate, they slap a collar and you send you, like, no, your heart needs to be changed. Like, you need to be a changed man. And so for me personally, it's not like I'm sitting there every night like, is this what I should be doing? Like, it's like, no, like before you enter the seminary, you work with, through spiritual direction, through the vocation director, and you commit to 1 year. And so, God, like, this year is your year, and we'll not going to focus on, okay, am I staying or am I leaving? Like right now, like my discernment is, God, I've given you this year, and this year's been, God's given me so much. And then we're getting to the point where we're having, like, at the seminary, we're having evaluations starting to happen, and you're constantly being evaluated by your, by your peers and by your formators. And so then, through spiritual direction, through prayer, I'm always asking the question, is this something I can see myself doing for the rest of my life? Is this something that's not for me, but truly God's calling me to do? And that's a big piece. But the main thing with discernment is, like, I'm not asking the question, should I come back next year yet? Mm-hmm. I'm focusing on getting formed and focusing on that. But there'll be a time, next semester, okay, the year's wrapping up. How did things go? And God, are you still calling me to be here again? There is a point where it's okay. Like, you're fully committing yourself. And it's kind of, you don't really think about it, but it really doesn't happen until a lot later in the seminary. Like every seminarian there, the further you get along, the more you're invested into it. And it's a lot more serious the further you are. But it's like weird to say, but you really don't commit yourself until you take your first vows as a transitional deacon. And so every year you're kind of saying, hey, this year's for you, Lord. Or, when you become an acolyte, like, hey, this is a ministry you're giving me, Lord, and I'm going to give it back to you and serve you. But you're not laying your life down truly until you take your vows. And so for us, it's a little bit different. I know, like, religious orders, it's the same thing, but they'll take, like, a 3-year vow. So, like, to become a lay brother for the Capuchins, when they get there, they'll do their novitiate, kind of test out a year. And then after that, if they want to stay, they'll take, simple vows, which need to be renewed after 3 years. They'll do those once or twice. And then after that, they'll take the permanent vows. God can use anyone. God calls anyone. And that's a big reason why it's so hard to, like, discern this call sometimes. You're like, priests are holy men, and, like, God, you and me both know what I've done, and you and me both know who I am. Like, this can't be me, but we have to remember it's not It's not your priesthood. It's not my priesthood. It's God's priesthood, and He intentionally calls people, and He can do anything with anyone. He really can. It's crazy.